Welcome to the Stone Ridge Software video series for batch manufacturers. Our batch industry solutions are powered by YAVEON Pro Batch running on Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. In this video, we will be focused on quality and compliance, looking at inspection plans, electronic signatures, lot status, certificates of analysis, and traceability features in the system. So let's dig right into Business Central. Again, I said Pro Batch is powering a lot of the functionality that we're looking at today. So we're going to start by looking at an inspection plan. And let's open up an inspection plan. And this is really the start or the source of the inspection process. So let's talk a little bit about some feature functionality here. An inspection plan is defined around an inspection object, and we're specifically going to talk about items, but we could set up QA item groups if you've got similar items or even the same items that you want to perform the same inspections on. Certainly something that we're able to do. But for this example, I have a specific item, and we're going to inspect item B001, which is set up as tomato juice. We can set up specific plans for vendors and customers as well. So if you do have a scenario where you want to perform a series of inspections for a vendor, group of vendors, customers, groups of vendors, if you have different specifications for customers, those certainly can be set up as well in the system. With the inspection plan, we determine really at what level is the inspection going to be done. So it could be done at the item level. So if, for example, I have a inbound purchase order, a receipt, it's a single item. I've got 4 different lots associated with it. If I'm performing the inspection at the item level, it's just going to ask me for 1 inspection. If I ask it at the lot level, it's going to ask me for 4. And then if I had serial numbers, it would be at whatever serial variant I have. We also want to touch a little bit on compliance and electronic signatures here. So just note that the status of an inspection plan can be configured. A certified inspection plan is the one that's currently being used. Down here on the right, you'll notice that we do have electronic signatures that can be set up. These electronic signatures can be set up around inspections, around feature definition, manufacturing specifications. So throughout the application where you'd want to control really the design, the recipes, the processes around your items themselves. Electronic signatures can be managed entirely inside of Business Central. So the users would be prompted for a signature. So if I make a change, my supervisor has to review the change before it's actually implemented in the system. All the lot tracking is associated with the users, who's doing it when, etc. So that's certainly part of the system. So that's connected again with the status configuration. Let's actually open up the inspection itself, and we're going to get down to the details. And there's 2 things that this detailed section does. The first thing it does is it defines an inspection group, which really is trying to answer the question or determine when do I want an inspection performed. So you'll notice that we have inspections that can be triggered throughout the purchasing cycle, the sales cycle, the manufacturing cycle, as well as maybe as needed or around inventory that I have in stock. So inventory inspection, stability tests, for example, can be done actually on a scheduled basis to maybe look at inventory I have in a warehouse, etc. So through the purchasing, sales, and manufacturing processes, primarily where we would do these inspections. The next section is the features. And what we do with features is we define features in the system. They can be really anything you can think of in terms of characteristics of an item, measurements that I'd want to check or track as part of a quality system as it relates to food. It could be allergens that are there, etc. So really anything you want to define. These have a data type. They can have again, they've got quality standards around these, but we also have the electronic signatures around the definitions of these items. So a bunch of different features that we have set up for demo purposes, but really anything you could think of we can track. The inspection feature then tells us at a particular step, so at the purchase receipt, for example, what features do I want to evaluate? In this case, I want to take the temperature of a particular item. So pretty straightforward, but again, I can set up different inspection sources throughout the inspection plan. So if I have some for manufacturing processes, some for receiving, maybe prior to shipping, etc., those could all be set up in the system. I can define inspection methods as well. This works with people that may need to be certified to perform specific inspections, etc. So kind of works in conjunction with that. As we move over here to the right, though, data type, decimal places, etc., we've defined characteristics of the feature. We can have calculated features. So in this example, pretty basic. It's taking the temperature in Fahrenheit, and I'm gonna restate it or redisplay it in a Celsius value. I can do the same thing with multiple feature evaluations. So if I'm taking 5, 6, 7 measures and I want to use those measurements to calculate an eighth value, for example, that would be a more sophisticated way to use a calculation formula. So absolutely, we can do that. The next piece to talk about is our target values and then our tolerances. So on the inspection, at a particular point with a feature, I can define then upper lower control tolerances as well as a targeted value. So in this example, I'm saying I want to take the temperature. I'm really hoping it comes in at 60 degrees. My lowest tolerance is 55. My upper tolerance is 65. Okay, so you can set these too high or too low and then a targeted value associated with a particular inspection. What happens then with the inspection is as or when the inspection process has been completed, based on a value being inside or outside of tolerances and control limits, I can automatically change the status then associated with that particular lot. So for example, if the product comes in and the temperature is too low, maybe it froze and therefore it's no longer good, I could say that this lot then is in a block status or it's in a QC status or something like that. So using these tolerances, again, I can control the status of the lot. The status of the lot then can be controlled, or when I can use a lot is controlled based on posting rules. So if a particular lot is in a QC function, it can't be consumed in the manufacturing process, for example. Okay, so this is how I can put features together with inspections to control the lot. The next section determines how I want to take samples. So I have the ability to do samples in various ways. The basic one here is a fixed quantity of 4. This works in conjunction with that evaluation at the top. So if you remember at the header level, I said I wanted to evaluate at the lot level, not at the item, I wanted at the lot. And I also want to take 4 samples. What the system is going to do then is if I have one item, 4 lots, and I say I want 4 samples, it's actually going to prompt for 16 samples in total to be taken, 4 samples from each lot. Okay, so we can do some calculations here. We do have the ability to do some unit of measure tracking as well as to determine if this is a destructive sample. So consuming essentially or decrementing inventory as we go through the process, absolutely part of the system. Printing labels, absolutely we can print labels. We have the ability to assign some cost to the process. Sample labels would be both to facilitate the actual inspection. So if you think about a container, I'm going to take a sample, I'm going to put it in a container, I'm going to print a label. The label then would identify the inspection that's taking place, the source of the material, so is it a PO receipt, etc. Labels like this could also be used for product retention purposes if you need to do that with your samples. Requires inspection. What this is going to do is it's going to determine if the operator at that particular step in the process can evaluate or perform the inspection, or do I need to use a lab? And a lab could be, I shouldn't say a lab. Do I need to use a different individual to do it? So it could be an internal lab, it could be an external lab, it could just be a third party that I'm using to perform an inspection. So for example, temperature, pretty easy. You know, someone in line doing the receipt has a scan, they take the temperature of the product, they can record it. Something that's more sophisticated, maybe I need to take a particular sample of the liquid and I actually want to do some metals testing on it or something like that. Well, I'm gonna have to send that to my lab internally. They're going to perform the inspection on it, etc. So this requires inspection, and then the inspection location helps couple or restrict or determine who's actually going to perform the inspection or who can. And then the ability to output a certificate of analysis. So through the quality process, we can create and output a certificate analysis that goes with the inspection. Okay. From a process perspective, the inspection plan again defines the inspection. The system then will automatically create inspection orders to be completed as transactions are processed that meet the requirements defined on an inspection plan. So in this scenario, as I purchase tomato juice, because I'm saying I want an inspection at receiving, an inspection is actually going to be created for each PO receipt. Okay, so let's actually look at that real briefly here and look at a released inspection order. And I have a released inspection order. And this is fairly configurable in terms of how do I want to alert my lab? Do I want to alert a lab? Do I want, product cap, that sort of thing? Certainly configurable. So if we look at an inspection order, then this is the actual inspection that needs to be performed. And what you'll notice is the system has identified the item, the lot. It's identified what vendor or what process has been associated with this inspection, etc., so that my lab then knows, oh, here's an inspection that needs to be performed, and it's all the details that I need regarding the inspection itself. I'm actually going to open this one up so we can look at it. From here, I have several statuses that can be associated with the inspection order itself. So as I start the inspection, as I'm waiting results, when the inspection is actually finished, I've got different statuses up here on this inspection order. At each one of these steps, I can be adjusting or evaluating the disposition or the status of the lot. So if I want to notify my larger team when the inspection process has started, maybe it takes a couple days to get its results back. They could see, oh, we're awaiting results, but the inspection process has actually started. All that sort of information then can be transmitted or translated or sent to everybody that might need it. From a released inspection order, when it's created, I can actually create the certificate of analysis, and we're going to look at that a little bit later. All right, so let's look at the item summary. And what the item summary is going to show us is essentially the results of this. So let's look at our tomato juice here. And I'm just going to pull up this first one. So item summary is going to give me information about a particular lot. So this is the item. This is a particular lot. I can see the status of the lot. So we talked about being able to configure really whatever statuses are required by your organization. So released, QC, QC finished, etc. Those are just sample ones. We could create whatever you wanted to. It's going to tell me where that particular lot is. So both a location and a bin code. So you can see in this particular location, it's in a bin. I don't have bins set up for this location. It's going to show me quantity information, etc., about the item, what's left, if there's containers involved, if there's a production involved, if there's an external lot number involved. All that sort of information is visible for me using the item summary. The other thing that's available or visible to me is the feature evaluations. So as you're performing inspections, as you're evaluating features to particular lots, those values are being captured in the system. So if you think about a metals count, an allergen, all sorts of different things that could be tracked, you'll notice that all these values then are stored at the lot level for that particular item. And then those values can be used elsewhere in the system, either for certificates of analysis or within the manufacturing process, etc. Okay. Let's look up a specific item, look at lot traceability briefly. So I'm going to look at this Chipotle sauce here, and I'm going to go back to the item tracing details on this particular item. So it's going to look through my my manufacturing process, and actually it's going to pull up all of the transactions associated with this particular lot. So this is my finished good here, my output, my Chipotle sauce. There's the particular lot number. What I want to show you is that I can see what's remaining, who created it, when they created it, etc. As I open this up then, these are the consumption orders that were created or generated based on the manufacturing process. So these are the raw material components or components that went into the manufacturing processes, their associated lot number. I'm just going to expand the parsley down here, and what you can see is I'm tracking warehouse transactions as well. So I've got the pick, the put away, as well as the original receipt associated with that particular lot number. What you'll notice is I have the details that would show me the location, the bin, the quantities. It shows me who performed these operations and when as well. So full lot traceability around the products themselves, where did they come from, but also where have the products been. So bin, operator, all that sort of detail is available to me. If I open up this general tab, what you can see is if I know the lot number, the serial number, the external lot number, the package number, I can find all the information associated with that. And then I can also switch this around. So usage to origin, origin to usage. If the vendor notifies me of a recall, I can go that direction. If I have a customer that has an issue, I could go the other direction. So forward or backward through the process, full traceability, audit capabilities on the transactions themselves. Okay. Last thing I want to just show you here is the certificates of analysis. So two things to note about this. One is the certificate of analysis, although it's a report, the data associated with the certificate that's been created is stored. So if you, for example, did an inspection through the manufacturing process and identified the potency value of a particular lot, and then you put that into inventory storage. Well, maybe the effective ingredient or the potency degrades over time. So what we've got in the system is the ability to do stability tests. So you create a stability test after a month, and you go out to the warehouse and you evaluate a particular lot again, and you have a new measurement. Maybe you need to generate a new certificate then on a subsequent shipment to a customer. Having the multiple certificates gives you that audit trail and the follow-up to know that, well, the effective ingredient was X when I shipped it to this customer, and maybe because of time it was Y when I shipped it to a subsequent customer. So it's not just as simple as a report. It's actually a transaction that's been created in the system. That said, the actual output can look however you want it to look. So this is, the inspection order itself. This shows me, I happen to evaluate a Scoville value here as well as the temperature. And then I can actually take the report and I could, create the certificate or transmit it or whatever I want to do with that. This report itself, completely modifiable. So I'm going to show you a sample one here. But in terms of graphics, what shows up, what data shows up, completely configured to meet your needs, your requirements. If you want to show the target values, if you just want to show the output values, certainly can be modified to meet your specific needs or your requirements. So that was a quick look at a little bit on quality, a little bit on compliance. Check us out on LinkedIn for upcoming webinars and events. Check out our resources page at stoneridge.com to look at links, more educational content. We have a lot of blogs, other educational videos that you can look at. If you have questions, want to talk to us, feel free to email solutions@stoneridgesoftware.com, and we will get you connected to the team member that can help you out. So thanks for taking some time with us today. And again, check out our content on our website.